Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. I'm here to sing Die My Love. The stars Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. I will say I've never been a huge fan of Jennifer Lawrence, but she may have changed my mind with this movie. This is basically about a young couple who, like so many other movies we've seen, they're just starting their life. They move into the house of a relative who has recently passed, and then stuff starts to happen. This is not a horror movie. This is kind of a suspense, but really it's more about as they have a young kid who they only name once in the entire movie. And basically, it's Jennifer Lawrence going through some mental struggles. She's having a breakdown, sort of postpartum depression, but not quite. What's interesting is I think that this movie could have made a really good commentary and a really good story about dealing with that. However, there's one point in the movie where they're at a party and everybody knows that she's going through some things. And one of the other younger moms says to her, you know, everybody, we don't talk about postpartum depression enough these days. And Jennifer Lawrence says, no, we actually talk about it all the fucking time, right? Which is what happens because they do. There's a stretch in the movie where they hammer it in, they go over it again and again. But I think that the real issue is that there's more going on than just that. And I kind of felt tense the whole movie because one thing that I absolutely cannot stand, I hate, is violence towards children. The baby is neglected, but never in real danger, if that makes any sense. Basically, their lives are starting to fall apart, and neither Pattinson nor Lawrence can actually handle it. There's a lot of Jennifer Lawrence nudity in this. This is not like No Strings Attached, I think is what it was called, where there's like a random nude scene. No, there's a lot of sex and there's a lot of nudity in this movie. But it never felt entirely gratuitous. There are some parts of this that I think are absolutely brilliant. I love the way the film style actually changes. It looks like they go from digital to film when she's having I'm going to use the term episode. I know that that is not correct, but I can't think of what to actually call it right now. I love that. I kind of like that when something is happening, the music is very incongruous to what's going on with the in the film itself, and it gets loud. I don't love the metaphor of the black stallion and then the black man on the motorcycle that she ends up having an affair with. Sorry, spoiler alert. That's a little bit silly. I don't love that as she engages in self-injurious behavior, they close up on her face and you can basically see that they've just taken some red makeup and put it on her face. Um, it's weird because there's so many details in this movie that are important and that really add to the storytelling, but then there are other places where they seem to have not paid much attention. So like Robert Pattinson smokes, but there's only one time in the film where you actually see smoke or an ember or the cigarette lighting up or anything like that. The baby seems to be almost a forgotten part of this movie, even though it's central to the identity. There's in some ways there's almost too much going on. They tried to tackle maybe a little bit too much when they, I think, could have focused in a little bit more on Jennifer Lawrence and her getting the help that she needed and all of that sort of thing. This movie is an hour and 58, and it is freaking depressing. It is depressing basically start to finish. Sort of like a Breaking Bad, right? Heisenberg was never right. He was never good in the head, and Jennifer Lawrence is never right. She, from the beginning of this movie, was not right in the head. And this life was not for her, and it broke her, and it broke Pattinson. And man, it was tough. I, at one point, stepped out to go to the bathroom and I contemplated, do I go back in there? But I wanted to see how it ended. It's again kind of a cheesy metaphor at the end of the film, but I understand what they were going for. I'm not going to give anything away, but rest assured that there is no violence towards the kid. And there's actually not really a whole lot of violence overall other than the SIV that Lawrence engages with. So if you have, there's some sort of trauma or anxiety involving that, then definitely be careful with this. Otherwise, I'm going to say that the movie is a stream it, right? But I think it's better than that as far as an actual score. I would probably give this like an 8 just because of the performances and the way the film itself is put together. Sissy Spacek is in this. There's some really brilliant moments. But to go to a theater and sit there for 2 hours and just watch this, I feel like this is a movie you should probably see at home where you can pause it or you can just turn it off if it's just not your thing. So there we are. Please like, share, subscribe. I will see you all for the next one.